Chapter 031. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage office. After listening to the excited remarks of the Moonlight Wind, the three generations couldn't help but fall silent. He sighed slightly in his heart, and said helplessly, "Do you mean that you hope that the old man will come forward and explicitly forbid Yuyen to stay away from Naruto?" "Yes, 3 generations of adults." Moonlight Swift knelt on one knee and lowered her head. "I'm sorry, as Shien's lover, I haven't been able to change her mind. But 3 generations of adults, I guarantee with my own life, Yuyen is only sympathetic to Naruto Uzumaki, and there are no other thoughts." After listening to it, the 3 generations were even more speechless in their hearts. "This moonlight storm, I'm afraid that there is no serious disease in the brain. It is undeniable that because of Naruto's particularity, ordinary people cannot contact casually in private, mainly to prevent some people with ulterior motives from taking advantage of Naruto and using the 9 tails, but in addition to this, the 3 generations also hope that someone will put aside their prejudices and treat Naruto sincerely. As long as the more people in the village make Naruto care, the more he feels a sense of belonging to Konoha, which is what the 3 generations want. To see, however, it is really difficult to find a sincere treatment of people, especially if this person must be selfless and completely trusted by the 3 generations. Now Shiyen, a subordinate of the 3 generations, is willing to be the first, and there is no need to worry about loyalty. What reason does the 3rd generation have to stop it? The moonlight blast came out of the dark department of the 3 generations directly, and he couldn't see this clearly. "I think so, but I can't say that. The 3 generations can't explicitly say support, otherwise there will definitely be a lot of bulls, ghosts, snakes and gods around Naruto in the future." Konoha's water was too deep for even Hokage to fully grasp. Fortunately, when the 3 generations hesitated and did not know how to restore the Moonlight Wind, suddenly a dark department knocked on the office door and entered. "Report to the 3rd generation of Misama. Naruto Uzumaki was seriously injured and was sent to the intensive care room of the hospital by Yuyen Uzumaki." "What?" The 3 generations stood up with a shocked face, and even the Moonlight Wind raised their heads in slight dismay. "Intensive care unit? That's not light." It wasn't long before Moonlight Wind was separated from him, and in this short period of time, did he encounter any enemies with terrifying strength? But this is Konoha. How can it be? Also, Shiyen didn't have an accident, right? Moonlight Swift Wind was anxious in his heart, but he did not dare to interject in front of the 3 generations. He didn't associate this with himself at all. "What the hell is going on?" Sandai asked with a calm face. "It is said that." The dark part glanced at the moonlight blast next to him and replied, "It was the moonlight blast that injured him." "This can't be." Moonlight stood up with a breeze on his face full of shock. The 3 generations looked at the Moonlight Wind. Moonlight Swift Wind hurriedly defended. "I originally wanted to scare him. Who knew that he took the initiative to stab me? But at that time, I had already retracted my strength, just scratched the skin. It could not be so serious." The 3rd generation said with a dark face, "Why didn't you say this before?" This, Moonlight Swift suddenly became difficult. He wanted to say it, but did anyone believe it? Say that Naruto took the initiative to provoke him, wanted to pry him into a corner, wanted to green him, and then provoked him? "Come with me to the hospital first." The 3 generations waved their hands and walked out with a black face. From the expression of the Moonlight Wind, the 3 generations could already see that the other party was hiding something. "But I thought that the other party really didn't know that it would hurt Naruto so badly. However, now is not the time to hold people accountable, so let's confirm Naruto's situation first, because it is the pillar force of the 9-tailed people, coupled with the Uzumaki clan. Naruto has an unusual physique since he was a child, and even if he is injured, he will get better quickly. But now, he was actually sent to the intensive care room. How serious was the injury?" Moonlight Swift opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't know what to say, just said, "Hateful," secretly, and walked behind the 3 generations. Soon the 3 generations and their party came to the hospital and saw Yu Shiyen, who was anxious and waiting for surgery. "Shiyen, how is the situation?" The 3 generations immediately opened their mouths to inquire. Shiyen then found that the 3 generations came over with a dark part and Moonlight Wind. She glared at Moonlight Swift with resentful eyes, and then said to the 3rd generation, "3rd generation Sama, the doctor is still treating Naruto. Although there is no danger to life, the injuries are serious, the blood loss is excessive, and it will take some time. What the hell is going on? The third generation was relieved to hear that there was no danger to their lives. Shien knelt down on one knee and said, because of Naruto's identity, Moonlight Wind forced me to keep my distance from him while sending a shadow doppelganger to attack Naruto. As Naruto has no experience against the enemy, the response is too late, and the Moonlight Wind is too heavy, which finally leads to such a result. If it weren't for Naruto's extraordinary physique, the others would have already lost half their lives, and asked 3 generations of adults to be the masters. Shien. Moonlight Swift Wind's eyes widened in disbelief. Naruto's situation was something he didn't expect, but what made him even more unacceptable was that Yuyen meant to let the 3 generations dispose of him. Shien, you get up first. The third generation took a deep breath from the pipe, spit out the smoke ring, and said, the old man is waiting here to see what the doctor says. Since Shien, who is a Moonlight Wind lover, said so, then this matter can already be concluded. Now it's time to look at the specific situation of Naruto's injury, and then think about how to deal with Moonshine Blast. The Moonlight Wind also heard the meaning of the 3 generations, and the whole person was like being struck by lightning, looking at Shien stupidly. However, Shien except for the resentful glance at the beginning, and then put no eyes on him. Such an attitude made Moonlight Wind's heart even cooler. Until now, he had not figured out the situation, but only one thing he had determined was that there was a rift between Shien and him that was difficult to repair. More than half an hour later, Naruto was pushed out of the operating room. The situation has stabilized, and the trauma has been dealt with by the palm cactus. But Naruto Uzumaki has lost too much blood and still needs to rest in the hospital for a few days. The attending doctor explained the situation to the 3 generations. Naruto was wounded by a knife. The wound was more than half a meter long, the flesh and blood were cut, and the bones had been seen in some places, almost hurting the internal organs, and there was corrosive chakra attached to it. Fortunately, Naruto's physique is different from that of ordinary people, and his own self-healing ability is extremely strong. So even so, the injury was quickly cured under the treatment of palm cactus. However, if it was not Naruto who was injured, I am afraid that his life would be in danger on the way to the hospital. Even if treatment is available in time, it can lie down for months and it is easy to leave the root of the disease. These words made Shien's heart hurt, but the more the 3 generations listened, the darker their faces became, and the Moonlight Wind directly doubted life. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 032. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the ward, it didn't take long for Naruto to wake up. Naruto, how are you feeling? Before the 3 generations could speak, Yuyen immediately pounced, holding Naruto's hand eagerly. If it weren't for the fear of touching the wound, she would have wanted to take Naruto into her arms. Naruto grinned and inhaled the cold air. It's just a little painful, and there is no strength in the body. It's okay. After being injured, he reduced the pain in his body by being unconscious, and he didn't feel the slightest feeling in the sealed space of the 9 tails. But now I have to wake up, and I feel quite uncomfortable, and in order to completely separate Shien from the relationship between Moonlight Wind, he still can't let his injury get better immediately. You just shed a lot of blood. It's normal for your body to be weak. I will get more supplements in the next few days to help you make up for your body. Yuyen looked distressed and touched Naruto's cheek. However, hearing Naruto say that he was just physically weak, he was secretly relieved in his heart. No other problems. Ahem. The 3rd generation finally couldn't help but cough dryly. He was also a Hokage, and he was actually ignored. Shien only then remembered the presence of the 3 generations. Her pretty face was slightly red, and she quickly let go of the way. She whispered to Naruto, 3rd generation Sama heard that you were injured and rushed over immediately, and has been waiting here for a while. When the 3rd generation heard Shien say this, he was secretly satisfied in his heart, and said to Naruto with a gentle smile on his face, Naruto, I am relieved to see that you are okay. You have a good rest these days. If you have any needs, please mention it to me. I will try to satisfy you if you can satisfy. Before Naruto could speak, Shien couldn't help but say, 3rd generation lord, I will take a good look at Naruto's side. you can rest assured. But he suffered this disaster for no reason. Should he give an explanation? It seems that she really has a heart for Naruto, and she does not hesitate to turn her face with her lover for this. While the three generations were surprised in their hearts, they were also more relieved to leave Yuyen by Naruto's side. Shien. Moonlight Swift Wind, who had been staying behind without speaking, looked ugly and said, "Are you really so desperate? Just can't wait for 3 generations of adults to dispose of me?" Compared to the truth of Naruto's injury, he cared more about Yuyen's attitude towards him. Shien opened her mouth. She was naturally not a desperate woman, but Naruto suffered from this calamity, which really made her feel bad. If it weren't for the fact that the person who shot was Moonlight Blast, she was afraid that she would have personally retaliated at all costs, now handed over to the 3 generations to dispose of. It is already Shien's last love, but Moonlight Blastwind helped her a lot after all, and there are still feelings. When she saw the slightly desperate eyes of Moonlight Swift Wind, Shien hesitated. After all, Sister Shien, it's okay. Naruto shook his head holding Yuyen's hand, and said in a weak tone, "I don't want to embarrass you because of my affairs. Anyway, I've been used to it over the years. Sister Shien is willing to accompany me and sincerely treat me, and I am already very satisfied." A hint of surprise flashed on the face of the 3 generations. The little ghost who has always liked mischief can actually say such a thing. "Naruto, you've grown up." The 3 generations sighed slightly. Sure enough, feelings are the medicine that promotes growth. How Naruto fooled Yuyen, the 3 generations did not know, but Yuyen has always been in contact with Naruto recently. How could he not know? "I just wanted to see what would develop between the two, so I didn't interfere." Now it seems that it is indeed right to let Yuyen stay by Naruto's side. The 3 generations were relieved, and while Yuyen was happy that Naruto could think about her, her heart was very uncomfortable. Already used to it all these years. What to get used to? Naturally, he was treated as a monster and a demon fox and treated coldly and violently. Originally, she wanted to leave the last trace of affection for Moonlight Blast, but now that she heard Naruto's words, her anger at Hurricane burned again. "Since you call me sister, then I definitely can't let you suffer wrongs in vain." Shien stood up, turned his head to look at the Moonlight Wind coldly, and said coldly, "Moonlight Wind, I thought you were an honest and reliable person, so I agreed to associate with you. But now it seems that you are just a layman." Naruto's identity is indeed different, but because of this, I want to accompany him, care for him, and protect him from growing up happily, which should also be a will of fire, right? But I can't agree with your ideas and practices. If you don't conspire against each other, you won't have to look for me in the future. The 3 generations listened to Shien's words and nodded with satisfaction. Shien is right, it is the responsibility and obligation of us predecessors to protect the next generation to thrive, and the will of fire is like this. So the wind, you still have to study hard. He had already heard what Shien meant, and then thought of what the Moonlight Wind had said to him before, and immediately understood the cause and effect, and now he was able to give an answer for the previous words. "Shien, do you really want to do this to me?" Moonlight staggered back a step and said with a miserable face, "For that little ghost. No, I didn't hurt him at all before. All this is fake, it must be a set he laid for me." Moonlight Blastwind finally reacted, pointing at Naruto and shouting, "This little devil is not at all as innocent as it seems. He approached you for a purpose, before. Enough." Shien looked ugly and shouted, and said disappointedly, 3 generations of adults, I don't want to see him again." She never thought that Moonlight Wind would actually shift the blame to Naruto, which was too ugly. The 3rd generation also looked disappointed and sighed. "Swift Wind, I let you come out of the dark part to train you into an elite ninja in the village, but I didn't expect it. Moonlight Storm, it is not allowed to strike at the companions in the village, and besides, you also gave Naruto a heavy hand. From now on, you will be relieved of your status as a special forbearance and temporarily think about it behind closed doors at home for a period of 1 year." The 3rd generation was very disappointed with the reaction of the Moonlight Blast, and even bothered to say anything, and directly made a verdict. It was useless to let the Moonlight Blast Wind be unacceptable, and the 3rd generation directly called 2 dark parts and escorted the Moonlight Whirlwind away, and someone would take turns watching him 24 hours a day. Such a punishment is not heavy for Moonshine Wind, And it is not light, but whether he can be reinstated after a year depends on his performance. Naruto, the medical expenses on your side will be the sole responsibility of the village, and then I will teach you a ninjutsu that suits you very well, so are you satisfied? The three generations smiled and handed over a ninjutsu scroll. Naruto opened it and saw that it was a multi-shadow avatar technique. Sure enough, this old guy had premeditated it for a long time. Unfortunately, Naruto said that he had learned the art of shadow doppelganger. Helplessly, the three generations could only change one, so he handed him the art of shuriken shadow doppelganger. Ask for flowers, ask for evaluation votes, ask for monthly tickets, ask for comments. May Day reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 033. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Night, on the training ground where he was training with Yuyen, a figure quietly appeared, and it was Naruto who was supposed to recuperate in the hospital. 9 llamas, are you sure that direction? Naruto recognized the location slightly, and his body quickly flashed into the woods. The 9 tails in the body said, if the sensing is correct, it will be 2 kilometers further underground. What the hell is it that makes you care so much? Naruto asked while jumping across the tree while frowning. You know, in order to separate the relationship between Shien and Moonlight Wind, he did not use the 9-tailed chakra to treat the injuries on his body, and he is still empty, sneaking out in this case. In case something happens, it is very troublesome to deal with. However, the 9 tails told him that when he used the 9 tails chakra during the day, he sensed an abnormal energy fluctuation deep in the woods that made him very concerned, and asked Naruto to come and check it out when no one was around. No way, Naruto could only wait until late at night, and Yuyen also went home to rest, before quietly leaving a shadow doppelganger in the hospital and sneaking out by himself. It's hard to say yet. Lying in the sealed space, the 9 tails looked bored and said, although I think it is necessary to investigate, if you think it doesn't matter, it's up to you to go back now. I'm all here, and you're still saying such things. Naruto couldn't help but be speechless for a while. Dare to love, these 9 llamas are making fun of him, right? With a distance of 2 kilometers, Naruto's current teleportation technique was almost instantaneous, and he had already reached the position sensed by the 9 tails between words. It's just that in front of you is a huge rock, and there is no way out. If you sense it carefully, you can know that the energy fluctuation is underground inside the rock, and there must be an entrance here. 9 tails duly reminded. In fact, there is no need to say it, Naruto has also sensed an abnormal energy fluctuation. If it was just because of the abnormal energy, the 9 tails might not care too much, but in Naruto's induction, he subconsciously repelled this energy, and I am afraid that the 9 tails felt the same. Not long after, Naruto found a hole, only to be blocked by another slightly smaller rock. Using the 9-tailed Chakra Mode, he barely moved the rock away, and then flashed into the stone cave. It is much more convenient to use the golden light of the chakra pattern to illuminate. A walkway that could accommodate 3 people walking side by side meandered down without touching anything in the process. As Naruto went deeper, the feeling of repulsion became stronger, making him secretly wary. About a few hundred meters away, 20 or 30 meters above the ground, a huge cave hall appeared in front of you. There is an altar in the center of the cave hall with an enchantment formation depicted on it. Because there is no activation, only residual energy fluctuations faintly come out. The energy fluctuation sensed by Naruto and the 9 tails came from this enchantment formation. What is this? Naruto subconsciously resisted. I didn't expect that under the woods near the training ground, there was such a thing hidden. What was it used for? The 9 tails also sensed for a while, and then scoffed. Obviously, this is a sealing formation. Sealing the law array? Naruto frowned, a little confused. After all, he had never touched such a thing. You're really slow to react. The 9 tails scoffed. This is the 4 purple sealing array built according to the altar of fire, and its role is self-evident. It is used to seal the old man. In fact, Naruto had already vaguely guessed, but he didn't know the specific answer. However, one thing he was sure of was that this place was definitely related to Tuanzang, and only that shady guy would build this thing in such a place. Listening to the words of the 9 tails, Naruto said strangely, is it to prevent the power of the tailed beast from storming away? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The nine tails relying on the ground, Ishingshan said, its effect can completely suppress the power of the human pillar and use the power of the tailed beast. Simply put, if you are inside when the formation is activated, then the power belonging to the old man you can't mobilize at all. In addition, the formation core above can also completely extract the old man's power from your body and then seal it. To sum up, this 4-purple sealing array is completely used to target the nine tails. Once Naruto is trapped inside, whether or not the nine tails is okay, Naruto, who is a human pillar, will have to be slaughtered by others. Oh, that old Ine, he actually kept such a hand. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle out loud. No wonder that just a little residual energy fluctuation made him and the nine tails subconsciously feel repulsed. It turned out to be a formation set up against them, remembering that in the original work, Tuanzang is also a chakra eye and an intercolumn cell, which is also a means reserved for controlling the nine tails. Whether Danzo was selfish or really for Konoha, Naruto, as the targeted party, naturally did not accept it. It seems that there is a chance to get rid of the underground rat. Naruto asked curiously, is this 4-purple sealing array really so powerful that even the 9 llamas can't resist? Underestimate whom? Stinky imp. The 9th llama said a little fried, it's just the arrogant idea of some self-righteous people. This formation does have a suppressive effect on the tailed beast, but it can only target the human pillar force. If you really pull the tailed beast out, don't say that the old man can tear it up casually. Even if it is a fool like Shoha, there is a chance to break through the seal. Is there just a chance to break through the seal? Naruto smiled knowingly and didn't argue with the nine tails, who had always been so awkward. So what are you going to do, Naruto? The nine tails probably also felt that his attitude just now was a little bad, softened his tone, and teased, this is obviously the handiwork of that Shimura Danzo. Although judging by the picture you passed me about the future, he didn't have a chance to strike at you. But what you are doing now is not the same as before, so the original future has changed. This point, naturally, does not need to be reminded by the nine tails. Naruto himself is very clear, then. Ruined it. Naruto walked towards the altar step by step. Since it was a killing move against him, it definitely couldn't be kept, even if it attracted the attention of Tuanzang. Swish. The Flying Thunder God enchantment was arranged around the cave hall, and Naruto condensed a large number of chakras and smashed a large jade spiral pill on the altar. Rumble. The entire cave hall roared violently, but because of the existence of the Flying Thunder God enchantment, there was no sign of collapse. After the energy, the entire cave hall was in shambles, and the 4-purple sealing array ceased to exist. The formation that is not activated, and it attacks from the outside, it is really easy to destroy. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive. Event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 034. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, to Naruto's surprise, Iruka actually stopped the school class and brought the students in the class to visit the patient. Seeing this, Shien, who had rushed over early in the morning to take care of Naruto, smiled knowingly and left alone first. Wow, Naruto-kun, how could you suddenly get so badly injured? It's all right now, right? Sakura threw herself directly into Naruto's arms with red eyes, tears streaming down her eyes. Hey, wide forehead, you give me up. Ino quickly ripped Sakura away and said in annoyance, didn't you see that Naruto still had a bandage on his body? What if his wound reopened? Sakura, who had been disturbed by the good thing, had already glared angrily at Ino and was suddenly shocked when she heard this, and immediately her face was full of fear, and she said to Naruto with a nervous expression, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Naruto waved his hand and interrupted, don't worry, the wound has been healed, and now it's just that the body is still a little weak, and it's not in the way. Sakura and Ino breathed a sigh of relief, and then snuggled up next to Naruto left and right, shushing him while feeding him fruit. This scene made many female classmates who were also interested in Naruto envious, but unfortunately, except for Sakura and Ino, the other girls in the class were not close to Naruto. After all, those were passers-by, and although Naruto was polite to them, he did not have the idea of filling the harem. Of course, there is also the original crown princess Hinata. Hinata in the original book, but because the other party is too introverted, he has always been far away from Naruto, and Naruto has not found a chance to talk to her for the time being. I said, Naruto, you're too inferior, aren't you? Tooth complained, this is Konoha, you actually suffered such a serious trauma in your own village, did you not control it well when you were cultivating? Spit and complain, but seeing the picture of Naruto enjoying the blessings of chi people, his heart has long been sour. However, what you said was also a doubt in the hearts of others. It's outrageous that people in Konoha can still be injured like this. Iruka also learned from Sandaime that Naruto was seriously injured and took leave, so he stopped his morning class and brought the students in the class to visit him. This decision was Iruka's own idea, and it was also a guide by Sandaime. Intentionally or unintentionally, the situation between Naruto and Yuyen was seen by the three generations, and after finding that with Yuyen, Naruto seemed to become slightly different, looking more mature and reliable, and much more reliable than before. Therefore, he hoped that Iruka and the students in the class would have a few more people who could develop a deep friendship with Naruto. Hehe. Isn't this the graduation assessment approaching? So I cultivated a little harder, and if I wasn't careful, Naruto sneered, the problem of the moonlight wind is not easy to publicize, and after communication, the three generations let Naruto follow this statement when he met others to ask, and Naruto had no opinion. Anyway, the moonlight wind has already left, and if the other party honestly closes the door at home for a year, Naruto will not bother to fall into the well. 1 year is enough time for Shiyen to die for him. Really, you're still as clumsy as ever. Even Shikamaru, who had an IQ of 205, did not find it greasy and complained along with it. The others couldn't help but laugh when they heard this. Sure enough, even though Naruto has improved a lot recently, his personality is still the same as before. Fortunately, it's not a big deal. Iruka was relieved after seeing Naruto's situation, and instructed, you should pay more attention in the future, after all, you are not so lucky every time. Yes, yes. Naruto replied repeatedly. Iruka's genuine concern, Naruto could still feel it, but then you'll have to lie in the hospital for a long time. At that time, because of the delay in practice, the graduation assessment will not pass, then it will be self-defeating. You gloated a little. Then again, even if there is no such thing, it is not an easy task for you to pass the graduation assessment. Who let you be the tail of the crane? Ahaha. Yeah, that's before. Now Naruto is not the tail of the crane. Ding Ci is the most gentle. Che, I was just teasing him on purpose. What are you really doing with me? Tooth pouted unpleasantly. There were a few of their gags, and the atmosphere in the ward was very joyful. Only those few dragon sets that had been rectified by Naruto before, because this time was a group activity, there was no way to follow, so they kept standing behind and did not come up. In addition, Hinata also weakly hid in the crowd, secretly looking at Naruto and did not dare to step forward. As for Sasuke, the guy didn't give Iruka face at all. I heard that I didn't go to class, so I ran to practice by myself. Hokage office. The three generations looked at their old guys with a stunned look and angrily came to the door. Tuanzong, what are you doing here? The three generations frowned. Since the Uchiha extermination incident, he has relieved Tuanzo of his post and strictly forbidden Danzo to go out. After all these years, at least on the bright side, Tuanzong is quite honest, and there is no more movement. The sudden appearance here today is indeed unexpected for three generations. The 4-purple ceiling array that the old man left outside the 10th drill field has been destroyed. Tuanzong had a black face, and did not sell the pass, and said directly, last night, someone directly broke into there and completely destroyed it, but it did not cause the slightest movement. I think it was an enchantment. Huh. The three generations were also somewhat surprised by this. He knew that the 4-purple ceiling array had asked him for a lot of money in order to build that place before, although the three generations thought that it was not necessary. Danzo insisted on being just in case, and in the end, the three generations reluctantly agreed. Any clues? Mayo asked. That's the problem. Tuanzong stomped on the crutches in his hand, looking extremely excited, and said coldly, there are many 9-tailed chakras left at the scene, and the 4-purple ceiling array is suspected of being destroyed by ninjutsu such as spiral pills. How is this possible? The third generation stood up and said with a puzzled face, do you want to tell me that Naruto did this? That's exactly what happened. Tuanzang's eyes flashed with a cold light, the nine-tailed chakra is already obvious evidence, but the problem now is that he can cast enchantment techniques and spiral pills. Hinata, that nine-tailed imp is definitely not as simple as it seems, we have all been deceived by him. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 035. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The matter is not yet decided, don't jump to conclusions, Tuanzang. Sandai was also a little irritable in his heart, but he didn't think that Naruto did it. Let's not mention whether Naruto has such strength, but Naruto just entered the hospital yesterday afternoon, and his injuries were personally confirmed by him. You're so naive, Hinata. Danzo said coldly, until now, do you still want to shield Naruto Uzumaki? Or give him to the old man to ensure that nothing is lost? For the behavior of his old fellow, it will not be clear for 3 generations. It's good that Tuanzang didn't say the latter sentence. As soon as the words came out, the 3 generations immediately thought that this matter might be directed and acted by Tuanzang. The purpose was to control the pillar power of the nine-tailed people. After all these years of thinking about it behind closed doors, has he not reflected at all? It's still the same old way. You are not allowed to strike privately, this is a death order. The 3rd generation drank lowly and said in a deep voice, I will find out about this matter, and you are not allowed to interfere. Don't forget, you are no longer Naruto, and the ban on you has not been lifted. Also, Danzo, I am the Hokage. Tuanzang's face instantly looked as ugly as if he had eaten xiang, and because of this, every time he blocked him with, I am the Hokage, Tuanzang would be so attached to the position of the Hokage, Nika, you'll regret it. In the end, Danzo stomped on his crutches and left the Hokage office with a black face. He won't just give up, anyway, he has no position, and he is not afraid to wear shoes barefoot, even if he is discovered. The 3 generations will extend his grounding time at most. Can they still kill him? Everything he did, it was for Konoha. Nine-tailed chakra. Suspected of an attack like a spiral pill. After Tuanzang left, the 3 generations couldn't help but ponder. He hadn't suspected Naruto, but the nine-tailed chakra really only Naruto possessed now. He couldn't figure it out by thinking about it, so he first went to the altar where the 4 purple sealing array was located to check it. It was found that there was not much difference from what Tuanzang said, and there was no trace of artificial forgery. Then he went to Naruto's and knocked on the side on the grounds of visiting. Naruto naturally knew the intentions of the 3 generations, and pretended to be stupid and fooled the past. Anyway, he is a ninja trainee who has just got rid of the title of Crane Tail, and he has only been seriously injured and his body is still weak. What is a spiral pill? Haven't heard of it at all. Then you cultivate well and recuperate your body as soon as possible. The graduation assessment is about to begin, don't be unable to catch up at that time, I won't open the back door for you. The 3 generations left these words, and let Yuyen take care of Naruto and left. What do you mean by 3 generations of adults? Shiyen frowned and thought, always feeling that the 3 generations seem to be testing something. Leave that old man alone, Sister Shiyen. Naruto took Yukien's hand and said, let's move on to the topic just now, the mission you performed in the dark department before. The body is weak and can't do anything, and the relationship with Shiyen has to continue to work hard. While Naruto learned about Yuyen's past, he also learned more about the current ninja system and the dark part system. Seeing that Naruto was interested in her affairs, Yuyen certainly did not hide it, except for some things that must be kept secret, basically knew everything. After giving up the Moonlight Wind, Yuyen had a lot less scruples in her heart, and her relationship with Naruto was thriving. Now even if Naruto took advantage of her, she didn't care too much. On the Danzo side, after a series of investigations into Naruto's recent situation, he really found a breakthrough point: Moonshine Blast. The 3 generations may not be able to see clearly in the bureau, but Danzo only looks at it through intelligence, but he feels that Naruto's serious injury is outrageous, so he found Moonlight Wind to learn more about it. At this time, the whole person of Moonlight Wind looked decadent, and he lost Shien's trust, which hit him very hard, and his life was already rotten. In the face of Danzo's questioning, Moonlight Blaster did not hide anything, including Naruto's attitude and what he said. At that time, in this way, Danzo even confirmed that Naruto was the one who destroyed the four purple ceiling formation, and there must be a hidden evil intention, plotting something in private. I really didn't expect that everyone was deceived by that little ghost. It is really worthy of being the son of the Golden Flash, and he has such a scheming at a young age. A cold light flashed in Tuan Zhang's eyes. Lord Tuanzo means. Moonlight Swift Wind was slightly stunned. At this time, he found that this former high-ranking person seemed to have a great opinion about the nine-tailed imp, and actually completely believed what he said. In this way, can he use Tuanzong to take a bad breath and get Shi Yan back? Tuanzong has long mastered the darkness of other people's hearts. With just one glance, he already understood the mind of the Moonlight Wind. He explained the matter of the four purple ceiling array in detail, and then said, the old man now dares to be 100% sure that the person who destroyed the four purple ceiling array must be Naruto Uzumaki, and his hidden power is far beyond our imagination. It's a pity that the guy Ape Fei was blinded, and he won't believe it even if he finds the truth. Therefore, this matter must be solved by the old man. After that, he looked at the moonlight and said, now you are grounded by the 3 generations of eyes, and you can't do anything. But if you come under the old man will give you a chance to take revenge personally. How, do you want to think about it? Moonlight Wind didn't think about it at all, and when he heard Danzo say that he was going to deal with Naruto, he wanted to take the initiative to add it. At this time, he directly knelt on one knee and said, as long as I can wash my grievances and let Xian return to me, the life of the Moonlight Wind is Master Tuanzang. Very good, the old man will let you get your wish. Tuanzo smiled with satisfaction. Since Uchiha was wiped out, the subordinates he had previously trained had been disbanded by the 3 generations. Although a batch has been secretly cultivated over the years, it is still in the growth stage and has not been able to carry the banner. Moonlight Blast Wind has no special abilities, but its strength is good, and it is from the 3 generations of direct subordinate dark parts, and it is definitely qualified to be cultivated as a henchman general. So Master Tuanzang, what are we going to do next? A cold glint flashed in Moonlight Swift's eyes. Because of this unfair treatment, the dark side of his heart has expanded. Now that he has followed Tuanzong, if nothing else, he will completely fall. After all, not everyone is called Kakashi. Don't be in a hurry. Danzo chuckled and said, let's find someone to test Naruto Uzumaki's strength first. I believe he won't let the old man down. His long-standing proposition has been to control the Nine-Tails pillar power in his own hands, and he didn't have a chance before, but he won't miss it this time. It's just that you have to find out the bottom of Naruto Uzumaki first to determine what kind of power the other party has now, so that you can decide how to deal with it. May Day reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 036. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yu Yen was granted a vacation and stayed in the hospital to accompany Naruto. Naruto didn't really need to take care of her, but she still kept guarding and got a lot of supplements for Naruto. When Sakura and Ino come over, she will leave for a while to make room for a few young people. Because he couldn't continue the special training in the hospital, Yu Yen helped Naruto supplement his theoretical knowledge. Many things are actually in the experience passed by Bufeng Shuemen, but after all, Bufeng Shuemen has been dead for 12 years, and some new things naturally have to be supplemented by Xian. With constant contact, Yu Yen has completely regarded Naruto as her own family. He even offered to let Naruto move to her side after he was discharged from the hospital, and Naruto of course agreed to come down without thinking about it. Naruto Uzumaki, come with me. That night, Yu Yen had gone home to rest. Naruto was about to leave the doppelganger, and the body was sneaking out of Konoha to enjoy the gentle country of waves, but suddenly a man wearing a dark mask appeared in front of him. However, this person exudes a gloomy and cold aura, which is very different from the normal dark part, people from the Root organization. Naruto knew it in his heart, and said quietly, did the 3 generations of old men let you come? Why is he looking for me at this point in time? Don't ask if you shouldn't ask, come with me now. The people of the Root organization urged impatiently, but I'm wounded. Naruto spread his hands and said, I need to sleep now, let's talk about something tomorrow. Are you trying to force me to do it? The tone of the people of the Root organization was cold, and they looked like they would burst into attack at any time. Swish. Naruto's figure appeared behind him without warning, holding Kumu in his back heart. Want to try it? Naruto sneered, when. Only then did the members of the root organization react, and a large cold sweat instantly slipped on their foreheads. There is actually such a fast instantaneous technique. What Lord Tuanzang said is really right. This nine-tailed human pillar power is not simple. However, he still forced his composure. Naruto Uzumaki, I am a subordinate of Lord Danzo, a member of the root organization, and I came here on the orders of Lord Danzo. If you disobey the order, you are going against the village leadership, which is equivalent to an act of forbearance, and I hope you will consider the consequences. Naruto laughed and said, when I kill you, just find a place to throw it. Who knows if I did it? Even if I knew, what evidence was there that I killed me? What a madman! Feeling the kunai in Naruto's hand stab forward, the members of the organization suddenly panicked a little. He gritted his teeth and offered the last killer move. Master Tuanzo asked me to bring you a word. You cannot cooperate, but wait for him to make a move next time. It will not guarantee the safety of the people around you. For example, Yuya Natsuki, Haruno Sakura, Yamanaka, poof. Without waiting for the other party to finish speaking, Naruto sent the kunai in his hand into the other party's body, and blood splashed all over the place in an instant. The root organization member's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. No one can threaten me. Naruto said with an indifferent look, don't worry, I avoided the point, but your life has entered the countdown. Now it's your turn to make a choice, to take me to see Tuanzo before I die. Maybe Tuanzo has the ability to save your life. Or die quietly like this, so that Tuanzong will come to me again after receiving your news. Pick it. The members of the root organization were really sure at this moment, this little devil was indeed a madman. Aren't you really worried about the retaliation of the Tuanzang and root organization? No one has ever faced the threat of the root organization, and in turn, threatens the root organization. Well, the members of the root organization regretted it in their hearts and knew that they should not have taken this hot potato. Even a person like him who has been brainwashed and can give everything up for Danzo does not want to die for no reason, and in the end, he naturally chooses to drag his crippled body and take Naruto to see Danzo, and in the current situation, he no longer dared to have the slightest tough posture in the face of Naruto, but became trembling and walking on thin ice. In a remote area of the village, in an underground base, Naruto saw Danzo sitting on a chair in the empty cave hall. Danzo-sama. When the members of the root organization who led the way saw Tuanzong, their eyes suddenly showed hope. It's just that as soon as he spoke, Naruto immediately ended his life with a kunai, and the place where the stab was still the same wound. Tuanzong frowned and waved his hand for his subordinates to drag the body away. Naruto Uzumaki. Tuanzong said with a dark face, it seems that I really didn't guess wrong. You have been hiding your true strength. He didn't care about the death of his subordinates, all he cared about was Naruto's attitude and the power he had now. There is no need to talk nonsense. Naruto raised his eyebrows. You sent someone to invite me, and now that I'm here, let's cut the line. In fact, he knew the purpose of Danzo, and when he destroyed the 4 purple ceiling array, Naruto had already guessed what happened. Although in the original work, Danzo does not have much intersection with Naruto except for sending a Sajui undercover agent to his side, but as the Nine Tails said, the future has changed, and things won't go exactly the way they were. Leaving the old Ine of Danzo hiding in the dark, Naruto didn't sleep well, so naturally he had to find a way to dispose of him. So it's only a matter of time before the two face each other. In that case, the old man gives you 2 choices. Tuanzo really doesn't like to talk nonsense either. Based on Naruto's attitude alone, he had already determined the conjecture in his heart, so there was no need to continue to verify. Danzo looked at Naruto and said coldly, the Nine Tails is the most powerful ultimate weapon in the village, and it cannot be in the hands of someone who has a different heart for Konoha. Naruto Uzumaki, for the sake of Konoha, either surrender to the old man, or let the old man personally transform you into what the old man wants. How dare I say it, Shimura Danzo. Naruto grinned and mocked, it's obviously your own selfish desire. You have to use the banner of the village. Don't you know that this gesture is really disgusting? Blood-sucking pests like you, who have been living on the big tree of Konoha, for the sake of Konoha, I feel it is necessary to kill you and return the village to a good house. Danzo's face instantly darkened. He was the only one who sanctioned others under the banner of Konoha. When was it the turn of others to say so about him? And it seems that this Uzumaki Naruto really knows a lot of things. No wonder he has been pretending to be stupid. Master Tuanzang, it's useless to talk to him so much, let me make a move. Beside the group, a man wearing a ghostly mask spoke, with a hint of resentment in his tone. Moonshine Blast. The other party's voice was recognized by Naruto, and a hint of surprise flashed on Naruto's face. Unexpectedly, this guy had just been banned by the third generation, and turned his head and fled to Shimura Danzo, which was indeed somewhat unexpected. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 037. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto Uzumaki, didn't expect us to meet so soon, did you? After getting permission from Danzo, Moonlight walked slowly to Naruto and even took off his grimace. The face that was pale because of kidney deficiency, but with a hideous expression, was revealed. I really didn't expect it. Naruto shrugged and said, I didn't expect you to throw yourself into an old sinister like Danzo. Moonlight Storm, after all, is a positive character in the original work. Although he robbed his girlfriend, Naruto subconsciously thought that since the three generations had already made a verdict, he should accept his life. Now it seems that love is really easy to make people irrational, so it is better to let him break off love. It's not forced by you yet. Moonlight shouted loudly, and slashed at Naruto with the long knife in his hand. He didn't keep his hand this time. Because Danzo suspected that Naruto's hidden power could at least reach the level of upper shinobi. If he can still use the power of the Nine Tails, I am afraid that Naruto will not be able to take Naruto with the Moonlight Wind. Although Moonlight Blast Wind was skeptical in his heart, he also knew that Naruto could not be defeated by him so easily. Therefore, the last knife was really trapped. This time, he just wants to get it back with interest. Swish. It's a pity that Naruto only flashed lightly, and let the attack of the Moonlight Wind fall into the air. Tuanzang, have you considered the consequences of your attack on me? Naruto ignored the Moonlight Wind and looked at Danzo instead. Tuanzo was still sitting in his chair, as if he was under control. Speaking of which, this is his territory after all. In addition to the Moonlight Wind, there are dozens of figures watching around. Coupled with Shimura Danzo sitting in person, he couldn't think of the possibility that he would not be able to take Naruto. Danzo glanced at Naruto lightly, and then pointed at the wind that was chasing Naruto again, and said lightly, you better consider your own safety first. Don't underestimate people. The Moonlight Wind was ignored by Naruto, and the anger in his heart became stronger, and the blade slashed again with a fierce momentum. Naruto dodged several times in succession, all of which easily avoided the successive attacks of the Moonlight Wind. Is it so fast? I really underestimate you. Since that's the case, Moonlight Wind swept backflip to open the distance, made a mark with one hand, and then quickly rushed in Naruto's direction. Konoha Ryu's sword art Mikazuki no Mai. In the process of running, the moonlight turned into three figures. One figure jumped high, and the remaining one left and one right surrounded Naruto. The three figures swung their long knives at Naruto at the same time, blocking all the space Naruto could dodge. It's so ugly. Naruto shook his head and sighed softly. Although the move is good, it is a pity that the caster's mentality has long been chaotic, and even a person like Naruto who does not understand sword techniques can see that there are many loopholes. Forget it, with a weak chicken like you, there is no need to waste time. Naruto clasped his hands together, orange light rose on his body, and then a huge chakra arm stretched out from behind him, and with a wave of his hand, two of the shadow doppelgangers of the Moonlight Wind were scattered, and the rest of the body was directly grabbed by Chakra's arm. What? Moonlight was shocked, struggled a few times, and found that he couldn't break free at all. Damn, can't move. Seeing Naruto's golden pattern, Danzo stood up. What is this trick? Tuanzang's face was full of disbelief. The surging energy that seemed to overflow was extremely amazing, and even Tuanzang felt a great threat. Everyone go together. At this moment, Tuanzang was afraid, and quickly waved his hand to let his subordinates go up together. Naruto glanced around. The route that had been disbanded, there were actually nearly 50 members of the strength of Naka shinobi and above. Moreover, in addition to looking at the darkness in the other party's heart, Tuanzang recruits subordinates to have special abilities. 50 members with a strength of Zongnin and above are already a very strong foundation, Chakra's arm flicked. Casually, smashing the moonlight wind towards Tuanzong flashed to the side, allowing the moonlight to fall heavily beside him. He didn't look at the moonlight wind, but just stared at Naruto for a moment, and said coldly, "The power that has been out of control has no value in existence. Naruto Uzumaki, the old man must kill you here today, all for Konoha." Ha. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. He waved Chakra's arms to knock away the root members who surrounded him, and then released 2 chakra arms, slowly condensing chakra. "Shimura Danzo, give you a heartfelt message, Shoutemo to provoke me. This time is not enough, first to give you a small lesson, wind escape spiral shuriken." As he spoke, he had already condensed the spiral shuriken. Without giving the others time to react, Chakra stretched out his arm and pressed directly on the ground in front of the regiment's hideout, thundered. In an instant, a blinding light burst out, and a huge and astonishing energy burst out with a thunderous momentum, and the entire underground base shook. In fact, this is just a half-finished spiral shuriken, and the internal energy is not stable enough, so it cannot be thrown directly, the same state as when Naruto first cast it in the original book and killed Kikuto's 2 hearts. But even if it is a semi-finished product, it is already the power of S-grade ninjutsu. Erupting in this limited space, the destructive power can be imagined. In an instant, the entire underground base was destroyed and the roof of the cave collapsed. The swirling semicircular ball of energy light could be seen clearly even from a distance. The vibration here was felt by almost the entire Konoha, and many people were frightened and stupid when they saw that semicircular energy ball of light from a distance. Thunder Earth 4 Pillars Ceiling Formation. At the critical moment, 4 dark people appeared around the root base, and in a low voice, 4 pillars with thunder light rose up. A blue light curtain connects the pillars, enclosing the entire base inside, so that the destructive power generated by the spiral shuriken does not spread. The 3rd generation wearing the Hokage cloak appeared outside the enchantment, holding the pipe and said with a melancholy face, "Damn Danzo, what the hell are you doing again? What a big move. This is trouble." That's right. It was sensing that Sandaime appeared nearby with the dark part that Naruto would say that there was not enough time, and hurriedly threw down a Kazuden spiral shuriken and ran. Otherwise, he really wanted to try it and see if with his current strength he could bring the root organization to a pot. Naruto can have nothing to worry about in front of Danzo, because Danzo has no authority now, just an underground rat. But if you expose your personality in front of 3 generations, I am afraid that you can only defect. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 038. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The reason why Mayo appeared near the root base with the dark part was because he received news that Danzo's men appeared in Konoha Hospital. He was worried that Danzo would attack Naruto behind his back again, so he ran over to take a look and warn Danzo again. "By the way, I didn't expect to come here. Just when the spiral shuriken broke out, I could only let the dark part of my subordinates surround this place with an enchantment. It was too late to save, and the power of the spiral shuriken was not something he could stop, but at the very least, control the energy within a certain range and don't let it spread." Until the energy dissipated, the enchantment opened, and everything you saw was a mess. The root base, originally built under the woods, has turned into a giant circular pit. Shoo. Several dark people who followed the 3 generations gasped one after another. "It's so destructive that it's unimaginable. If they hadn't used the enchantment in time, I'm afraid that most of Konoha would have been affected. What the hell is going on?" The 3 generations are also a little afraid, and they are full of resentment towards Tuanzang, a guy who likes to make trouble. 3 generations of adults. A dark officer beside him said, "In this case, I'm afraid that Lord Tuanzo will not be spared. The entire root base is gone. Can the flesh and blood of the regiment in the Tibetan area still survive?" The 3 generations actually had this idea, so the anger towards Tuanzang was not so great, but he was a little sad in his heart. However, at this moment, the soil layer under the giant pit turned over, an embarrassed figure crawled out from the ground. Poof. Before anyone could see his identity, he himself first spurted out a mouthful of blood. "Damn 9-tailed imp, Naruto Uzumaki, the old man is at odds with you. Tuanzong roared angrily. He really didn't expect that Naruto could actually use such a powerful killing move. When the energy burst out, it was too late for him to unlock the seal of his right arm, and it was too late to use the chakra eye above to cast Izanachi. In desperation, Danzo could only sacrifice his right eye, the kaleidoscope Bitenjin from Uchiha Shueishuei. Although he escaped, including the moonlight wind that had just been received, all the root members in the root base had no bones. Such a loss made Tuan Zhang's whole person hateful. You said Naruto? The third generation flashed to Danzo's side, not caring about anything else, his face full of disbelief. You mean, these were done by Naruto? Who else could he be? Tuanzong shouted angrily. The old man has long reminded you that that little ghost is very scheming and hides power that we don't know. If you are willing to listen to me, why will the old man suffer such a great loss? The most important thing is that the other gods who stopped the water are gone. In order to save his life, he cast Izanachi as a disposable consumable, and Tuanzo was dripping blood in his heart. The entire old face of the third generation is also gloomy and scary. He has long been accustomed to Tuan Zhang's nonsense, and now is not the time to argue. It would be terrifying to really be sure that Naruto possessed such destructive power, but to pretend to be stupid all day, thinking of this. The three generations didn't care about Danzo, turned around and left, and rushed to Konoha Hospital as fast as they could. Tuan Zhang's face was gloomy. Everything that happened just now was like a dream, and he had not fully come to his senses until this moment. After pondering for a while, he decided to follow to the hospital first. I'd like to see, after learning all this, what will happen to the nine-tailed imp with ape Fei. If Naruto Uzumaki could be placed under his control, the losses he suffered today would be barely bearable. Unfortunately, if he had known that Naruto had such powers, he should have given him another god control earlier. It's too late to regret now. Konoha Hospital. When the third generation and Danzo hurried to Naruto's ward, the two were stunned at the same time. Okay, this is the last dose. A beautiful nurse was next to Naruto, put away the infusion hanging needle, and said to Naruto with a smile, "You are recovering well, you can be discharged tomorrow." "Oh, in this case, I won't see my sister in the future." Naruto took the beautiful nurse's hand and reluctantly said, "Otherwise, I'd better stay here for a few more days." The beautiful nurse sneered, patted Naruto's head, and said coquettishly, "Naughty ghost, if you want me, you can come here to find me at any time." However, healthy people are generally reluctant to enter the hospital, right? Of course, this beautiful nurse knew Naruto's identity, and she was actually very resistant to him at first, but unfortunately she soon fell under his betrayal of cuteness. No way, people are handsome, very well behaved, and speak well, and a girl can't stand it. This. What's going on? Tuanzong was directly dumbfounded. The scene in front of him is easy to discern. Naruto has just finished the infusion, and the beautiful nurse came to pull the needle. Judging from the dosage of that bottle, it was half an hour to lose, and Naruto perfectly avoided the crime time. Oh, the third generation of grandfather, why did you come to visit the patient so late? Don't worry, you also listened to what this nurse sister said just now. My body is already fine, and I will be able to be discharged from the hospital tomorrow. Naruto blinked his eyes with a look of innocence. The three generations looked at Tuanzong with a black face. Tuanzong, how do you explain? Tuanzong was silent for a moment, and his expression gradually became fierce. He reached out and grabbed the beautiful nurse's neck and shouted coldly, "Honestly, are you deliberately shielding Naruto Uzumaki?" The beautiful nurse who expected this encounter, her pretty face turned pale all of a sudden, and she kept beating Tuanzong's hand and struggled. "Hey, what are you ugly old man doing? Let go of sister nurse." Naruto jumped up from his hospital bed and pounced on the rescue with his teeth and claws, but the strength he showed was too weak to help the wind, and Danzo flicked his arm lightly, and threw Naruto out. Tuanzong. At this time, the third generation seemed to be aware of it later, and said coldly, "Do you still dare to commit murder in front of me?" "Humph." Tuanzong threw the beautiful nurse onto the hospital bed and snorted coldly. The old man is just checking to see if she has fallen into illusion. And the result? The three generations still have a cold face. Tuanzo was silent. The answer is obviously, no. You bastard. Naruto blocked the beautiful nurse behind him, glared angrily at Danzo and said, "No matter who you are, I must fly you," the multiple shadow doppelganger technique. Dozens of Naruto instantly filled the ward, and the result was that Naruto couldn't move on his own, let alone knock Danzo flying. Seeing Naruto tossing himself around, Danzo's whole person was confused, and his head was full of question marks. Is this guy deliberately playing stupid, or is he really so stupid? At this moment, even if Danzo himself did not dare to be sure, maybe there was someone else who destroyed his root base, just dressed up as Naruto and framed him. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 039. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The picture has a surprise. Tuanzang, you must give a satisfactory explanation for this matter today. I must not tolerate you anymore. After leaving the hospital, the three generations began to hold Tuanzang accountable with anger on their faces. Naruto's side had never left the hospital, and no members of the root organization had ever seen him, and the people in the hospital could testify about this. The third generation also went to investigate the monitoring of the hospital, and could only see the root members who were sent by the Tuanzang sect to quietly enter the hospital, but did not see them leave. Combined with these circumstances, the three generations concluded that this matter had nothing to do with Naruto. Either someone pretends to be Naruto, or Danzo directs and acts a play in order to control the Nine Tails and regain power. If it's the latter, it's okay. Anyway, Tuanzang has not done things once or twice, and the three generations have long been accustomed to it. If someone pretended to be Naruto and made such a powerful ninjutsu, it would be terrifying to think about it. At this time, the three generations would rather believe that the regiment was doing trouble than accept that Konoha was hiding such a terrifying enemy. Tuanzang didn't care about the attitude of the three generations. He had been thinking hard, and now he couldn't think of a clear answer. The old man can be sure that it is definitely Naruto Uzumaki who is doing ghosts. Tuantiang's tone was determined. He explained the previous incident in detail, and then said, "Now that I think about it, the appearance of the whole body glowing is probably because he has mastered the power of the Nine Tails. Coupled with that extremely powerful special spiral pill, Naruto Uzumaki was too terrifying." The third generation looked at Tuanzang with a foolish expression, and said coldly, "Don't act anymore, Tuanzang. How old is Naruto this year? He hasn't even graduated from ninja school, and not long ago he couldn't even control the three-body technique. You tell me he now has the power of the Nine Tails. Do you look like a fool yourself?" Tuanzang also knew that this guess was but apart from this, he couldn't find a more reasonable explanation. "Then tell me how Naruto hid from everyone's sight and monitoring in the hospital, ran to you to mess around, and then went back without knowing it." What the three generations can be sure of is that Naruto in the hospital is absolutely right, messing around. The group hides the stubbornness, but it is difficult to argue. He didn't dare to say that Naruto had killed dozens of his subordinates. After all, they were all recultivated with three generations on their backs, so in the three generations of cognition, Tuanzang only lost a base and a few personal guards. Don't say other heavenly gods, the three generations don't even know about the betrayal of the Moonlight Wind. Danzo actually wanted to say that Naruto used the shadow doppelganger, but it was not right to think about it carefully. If it is a shadow doppelganger who stays in the hospital, it will not be able to transfuse. If it is a shadow avatar who goes to the root base, it is outrageous. How far can a shadow avatar go? Anyway, Tuanzang does not believe it, but no matter what, he was sure that person must be Naruto Uzumaki, not to mention how the three generations and Tuanzang will develop. In the hospital, after the three generations and Tuanzang left, the beautiful nurse was so scared that she cried, "Okay sister, that ugly old man is gone, don't worry." Naruto took the beautiful nurse in his arms and patted her on the back to comfort her. Occasionally enjoy a different gentle township, it feels quite good. The beautiful nurse was indeed frightened, and the poor nestled in Naruto's arms, and it took a long time to ease up. What happened to that person just now? Did I do something wrong? The beautiful nurse looks like I see pity. Sorry, you also know my identity. He came at me. I'm used to it, but it's just my sister. Naruto held the beautiful nurse's hand, and the other hand was rubbing indiscriminately. The beautiful nurse didn't notice it, because Naruto's words were stunned, and then she felt pity for Naruto. It turns out that you have always lived this kind of life. How many times does this have to be encountered to get used to? I didn't expect that this big grinning and sunny little guy in front of me would actually live such a day. Suddenly, she found that Naruto's hands were actually climbing the mountain, and her body suddenly shook, and she immediately got up in a panic and pushed Naruto away. You can talk, what is the mess? The beautiful nurse blushed and was coquettish. Naruto smiled and said, I'm also here to help my sister divert attention. Do you feel better now? If not, we continue. Continue your size, you little astringent. I didn't expect you to be such a Naruto. I ignored you. The beautiful nurse stomped her foot, covered her face and ran. Really not continuing? I don't see you enjoying your expression. Naruto raised his voice with a grin, and the beautiful nurse suddenly ran faster. The darkness of the ninja world, in front of my eyes, you have nothing to hide, and fighting with me is still tender. Remembering Danzo's look of gritting his teeth just now but couldn't do anything about him, Naruto was proud. It was really easy to avoid the hospital's surveillance, but the root organization member was held hostage by him, and he took the person with an instantaneous technique. At that time, he went to the root base to indeed be the body, but he left a wind-escape doppelganger in the hospital. Like Kakashi's thunder avatar, the wind avatar incorporates the nature of the wind on the basis of the shadow doppelganger, and has a strong ability to resist blows. After being mortally wounded, it will leave a whirlwind in place to trap the enemy, and the power of the whirlwind depends on the remaining chakra of the wind doppelganger at that time. When things were over at the root base, Naruto returned through the flying thunder god and quickly exchanged with the wind escape doppelganger, and everything was completed perfectly. After he destroyed the 4 purple ceiling array, he expected that Tuanzang would come to the door, and he thought of a way to deal with it at that time. It's a pity that the 3 generations came too quickly. Otherwise Naruto really wanted to try to see if he could kill Danzo, dare to threaten him with the people around him. This has already touched Naruto's bottom line. Danzo will definitely not live long. However, it is really abominable that the nurse sister is angry and is not responsible for helping me lower the fire. Let's go find Aunt Kana and Yukimi. Naruto once again left a wind doppelganger, and the body came to the land of waves through the flying thunder god. Whether it is the wind escape avatar or the spiral shuriken, it is all cultivated by the shadow doppelganger. In Ibri's former residence, there has always been Naruto's shadow doppelganger, and he is constantly cultivating. The current cultivation mission is to focus on the Uzumaki clan's secret arts obtained from Uzumaki Kanna, Vajra blockade, Kagura hard eye, and some sealing techniques. Of course, the research of Feng Dun cannot be stopped, and there are still some shadow doppelgangers who are deeply studying. Naruto didn't plan to stew with all kinds of abilities like other traversers. He wanted to make himself an expert in wind escape, specializing in one discipline, and becoming the strongest wind Denoja in history, even make the power of a single attribute stronger than blood succession. Even Danzo can break Susa in the wind. Naruto's goal is to smash the complete body Susa by ordinary wind ninjutsu, maybe by virtue of the fairy wind can hurt the 10 tails. In addition, he also has an idea. Chakra can climb trees and tread water, so with the help of wind attributes, he should be able to step into the air and ride the clouds, right? Or simply fly with a sword. May Day reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 040. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the side of the country of waves, under the leadership of the Shadow Avatar, it is now very different. Naruto asked Zai to form a ninja team to prepare for the establishment of an independent ninja village in the future. This matter is no longer very enthusiastic, and it is directly done as his own business, and he once forgot to return to the fog. Kana, Yukimi, and Ryukashi were not idle, and they were responsible for establishing ninja schools and selecting school-age children from the children of local residents to cultivate. The Cardo Group has now officially changed its name to the Facema Group, and prohibited businesses such as smuggling and drugs have been abandoned, but the transportation of fish has been increased, and trade between the land of water and the land of fire has been increased. In general, the current market value of the Noodle Hemp Collective has shrunk somewhat, but it has successfully washed ashore, however, those black market transactions in private Have not all stopped. After all, it is also a good source of intelligence. In terms of business, it is mainly Maimon who is in charge. Naruto found him out from inside Konoha, took him directly to the land of waves, and threw him a set of ideas for a thunder car. Layman is just an ordinary person, unable to resist, can only accept. Naruto just grasped the general direction of these things, and left the rest to the people under his hand, and he has more important tasks. The shadow avatar is responsible for cultivation, the body is responsible for raising flowers, and raising several petite flowers such as Yukimi, Kana, and Tsunami. Even gorgeous, among all the women, only Tsunami is willing to be an ordinary person. Inari was relieved to be put in the ninja school, and had been helping Naruto take care of the manor where he lived. Yukimi, Kana, Karyu, and Dragon Tongue all practice with Naruto's shadow doppelganger and are also in charge of the ninja trainees' teaching. The Dragon Tongue may have been persuaded by Channa, or perhaps he also knew that the return to the grass was hopeless, and stayed like a fate, but for the time being, she didn't want to be Naruto's woman, and Naruto didn't force her. Anyway, it was only a matter of time. Nothing major happened in the next few days, and after coming out of the hospital, Naruto moved into Yuyen's house, adjacent to the Sunset Red. The house system is the same, and the balconies are connected together. During the day, Naruto still conducts physical training with Yuyen, and the strength he shows gradually reaches the level of elite shinobi. Unfortunately, at night, Shien said that he would not sleep with him, and the two lived in separate rooms. There is no way. Naruto can only hold back tears and leave a wind doppelganger, and the body goes to the country of waves to raise flowers. Finally, after the graduation examination, it was time to meet with the instructor Shinobu in the class, that Mizuki-sensei. I heard that he himself ran to the house of Sandame to steal the Book of Seals, was taken down on the spot, and twisted to Konoha prison. Most of the people in the classroom were full of excitement, looking forward to the life of performing tasks after becoming a ninja. It's a pity that they don't know that there are only 9 people in the entire class who can become official shinobi. It's finally time for me to show my skills. Don't hold me back, Akamaru. Inuzuka put his red teeth on his head, looking energetic. There is no Naruto in the class, and now the most majestic is the tooth. Woof, woof. Akamaru echoed and exclaimed twice. Naruto just walked over, poked Akamaru in the back, and said to Tooth, I remember that your secret technique is to make Akamaru pee to market, right? Always put it on the head like this. Did you wash it after Akamaru peed? The corner of his mouth twitched, and the energy that had just risen instantly dissipated. The rest of the class burst into laughter, pointing at Tooth and Akamaru, and some even showed a disgusted expression. If Naruto hadn't mentioned it, they really wouldn't have thought of this double Yaga Naruto. Tooth immediately shot up, grabbed Naruto's chest and said angrily, Are you going to fight? Woof. Akamaru stood up from his head and grinned at Naruto as well. Naruto shrugged. Before he could speak, several murderous auras instantly rushed straight behind him. Oh no, it's straight at the teeth. Even if Naruto didn't look back, he knew that several girls in the class, including Sakura and Ino, who liked him, were glaring angrily. The teeth trembled, and after swallowing the saliva, he let go of Naruto's clothes without a trace. He pretended to be careless and said, Forget it, today is a big day. Uncle Ben is too lazy to calculate with you. So, did you wash it? Naruto asked, curious. The tooth expression froze, and the whole person was about to enter a violent state. Forget it, it's okay if you don't answer. Anyway, I shouldn't be a squad with you. Naruto patted Tooth's shoulder with sympathy in his eyes, then turned to leave. I killed you. Yaji could withstand such a provocation, and directly jumped on the spot and threw himself at Naruto. Naruto smiled and flashed to the side, avoiding the pounce of his teeth. Hey, don't make trouble, you have to fight outside. Immediately, some classmates shouted in dissatisfaction. After all, the space in the classroom is too small, and as long as they toss a little, it can easily affect others. But where would you care about this? And hummed softly, it's quite fast. In that case, four-legged technique. The teeth and limbs condensed a large number of chakras, crawling on the ground. The nails became longer and sharper, and the corners of the mouth also showed fangs. Hey, what a joke. As soon as he saw the family's secret technique, the surrounding classmates were frightened, and they quickly hid to the side. Ah, what a trouble. Shikamaru yawned, his hands sealed, and shouted lowly, shadow mimicry. Shikamaru's shadow quickly elongated, connecting with the shadow of the tooth, success. Shikamaru kept his teeth under control at a critical moment. He doesn't want the classroom to be a mess and the situation will become more troublesome. Damn, Shikamaru, don't stop me, I must teach Naruto a hard lesson today. Tooth struggled to get up. Today is our last class at school, and I don't want to delay because of you. Really, you guys are so much trouble. Shikamaru complained listlessly. Tooth struggled fruitlessly, but it was not so easy to give up, and he drank lowly. Akamaru, it's up to you. Wang. Akamaru thought, jumped up from Tooth's head, and slammed in Naruto's direction. Lying groove, you really come. Naruto was really startled and pulled up the table in front of him as a shield. Naruto was blocked, but the others were affected, and the scene was immediately chaotic. Ugh. A cowardly little figure was squeezed untenable by several people, and turned upside down in Naruto's direction in panic. Naruto reached out and took her into his arms, but because the other party was a little stronger, he collided with Naruto. Naruto was unsteady for a moment, and the two fell to the ground together, and their mouths also touched each other fiercely, although it hurt a little. Naruto still used his tongue to sit for a while. Sweet. Mayday reading is happy. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP bonds. Immediately preemptive, event period, April 29th to May 3rd.